Welcome to The Explainer. Today, we're digging into a really fascinating story in the world of aircraft leasing, all about a company called Avation PLC. Think of it as a classic comeback story, a company with super valuable assets that are being weighed down by its finances, and their big plan to turn it all around. Okay, so let's jump right into the big puzzle here. On one hand, you've got Avation, a company that owns a whole fleet of commercial airplanes. These are real, flying machines making real money. But on the other hand, the stock market is acting like those planes are worth way, way less than the company's books say they are. So what on earth is causing this huge disconnect? So first, let's unpack this valuation puzzle. We've got to understand just how big this gap is, because we're not talking about a small rounding error here. It's a massive difference that makes you ask some serious questions. I mean, just look at this number. The market is pricing Avation at a staggering discount of over 40% to its net asset value. Now, to put that in perspective for you, their competitors are trading at a discount closer to just 10%. So what gives? Is it possible the market is right and Avation's planes just aren't worth what they claim? Well, we actually have hard evidence that they are. Just recently, Avation sold a Boeing 777 and pocketed about $33 million in cash. And here's the kicker. They sold it for a meaningful premium to what it was valued at on their books. So this isn't some accounting fantasy, it's a real-world deal that proves their assets are solid.
So if the planes are so valuable, what is the market so scared of? Well, this analogy kind of says it all. Think of aviation as a landlord. Their planes are the properties they rent out to airlines. And the problem isn't the value of the properties themselves. It's the giant mortgage hanging over them.
And that brings us right to the heart of the matter, the debt. To really get why the market is so nervous, we have to dissect this mortgage, because it's casting a huge shadow over the whole company. Okay, so Aviation's debt really comes in two main flavors. A big chunk of it is secured debt. That just means it's tied directly to specific airplanes, just like a mortgage on a house. But that's not the part that has everybody on edge. The real anxiety is all focused on that other slice of the pie, a big pile of unsecured bonds. Now here's what's got the market spooked. These notes aren't backed by any specific plane. And there's a big, fat deadline coming up in October 2026 when they have to be paid back or refinanced. On top of that, they've got this 6.5% interest rate, plus an option to pay another 2.5%, not with cash, but with more debt. This single bond is pretty much the biggest financial hurdle they have to clear. But here's the thing, management isn't just sitting around waiting for that 2026 deadline to hit. They have been actively, aggressively paying down their debt. I mean, you can see the trend right here. They started at nearly $800 million in 2022, and they have just been chipping away at it year after year. So the natural question is, how exactly are they pulling this off? Well, it all comes down to a really clear and disciplined strategy they've been executing to lighten this financial load. To really see the progress, let's look at their gearing ratio. It's just a way to measure how much debt a company has compared to its assets. Back at the end of fiscal year 2021, this number was almost 72%. That is pretty high. Now, fast forward just 3 years. Look at that. They have slashed that ratio all the way down to 57%. That is a massive improvement, and it's proof positive that whatever they're doing, it's working. So what exactly is the plan? Well, it's a pretty straightforward three-part playbook. First, they take the cash that comes in from leasing out their planes and use it to pay their bills. Simple enough. Second, like we saw with that Boeing 777 sale, they sell planes for a profit and use the cash to pay down debt. And third, and this part is pretty clever, they're actually buying back their own bonds from the market for less than face value. It's a great way to retire debt on the cheap. So everything we've talked about, the plane sales, the debt payments, it's all building towards this one big moment, the main event. It's that critical refinancing of the big unsecured bond that's due in 2026. This is it. This is the final test, and honestly, the single biggest opportunity they have. And hey, you don't have to take my word for it. This analyst report puts it perfectly. The whole story really hinges on this moment. If they can successfully refinance that debt, especially if they can do it on better, cheaper terms, that's the catalyst everyone is waiting for. So you can really see the two sides of the coin here. On one side, you've got the credit rating agencies like Fitch. They're cautious. They're pointing to the very real risks in refinancing and the company's high debt. But on the other side, you've got investment analysts who see a massive opportunity. A successful refinancing could prove the company is financially stable, and it could finally force the market to wake up and close that huge valuation gap.
All right, so let's get the official verdict from the pros, the people who actually grade corporate debt for a living. What do the credit rating agencies really think about Avation's plan?
Well, their ratings basically reflect the risks we've been talking about. Both Fitch and S&P have Aviation's debt in what's called speculative grade. S&P is especially worried about those unsecured notes. But there is a silver lining. Fitch has given them a stable outlook, which kind of suggests they believe the company is on a steady, if still risky, path forward.
So when you put all the pieces together, the phrase turnaround Gambit really is the perfect way to describe this. Aviation is making a strategic play. It's using the proven real-world value of its airplanes to systematically fix its balance sheet and get ready for that all-important refinancing in 2026.
And that really leaves us with one last big question to think about. We know the company has valuable assets that are making money. We know it has a clear multi-year strategy to cut its debt that is showing real, tangible results. So if they manage to clear that final hurdle in 2026, is the biggest challenge they have left just a battle of perception? Is it just about convincing a skeptical market that the comeback is finally complete?